Hi, I'm Byron. For someone who grew up believing family meant everything, I never thought I'd be standing in my mother's living room on Christmas Eve, staring at a receipt that shattered that illusion. But let me back up a little. Dad, when's Grandma getting here? My 8-year-old daughter Lily tugged at my sleeve while her younger brother Mason colored at the kitchen table. Soon, honey. Grandma said she'd be here around 5. I ruffled her hair, noticing how she'd been drawing pictures all morning, handmade thank you cards for the presents she hoped to receive. My wife Vanessa leaned against the counter, coffee mug in hand. Did she say anything about gifts this year? The kids have been making those lists for weeks. She actually called about that yesterday, I said, lowering my voice. Said money's been tight since her retirement. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. Really? Didn't she just get back from that cruise with your sister's family? That's what I thought too, but she insisted they couldn't afford presents for the kids this year. I shrugged, said we should prepare them for disappointment. That's odd. Vanessa set her mug down with a little too much force. Your brother mentioned she bought his kids those expensive gaming systems. The doorbell rang before I could respond. The kids raced to the door while I exchanged a look with Vanessa that said we'd finish this conversation later. Grandma, Lily and Mason chorused, wrapping themselves around my mother's legs. Oh, my little angels. Mom beamed, handing me her coat. Byron, be a dear and bring in that small bag from my car. Nothing much, just some cookies I baked. While Mom settled in with the kids, I headed to her car. The small paper bag of cookies sat on the passenger seat, but something else caught my eye. A shopping bag peeking out from under a blanket in the back seat. I wouldn't have thought anything of it, but a familiar luxury department store logo was visible. Need help finding something? My mother's voice startled me from the doorway. No, just getting the cookies. I grabbed the paper bag, pretending not to notice the shopping bag. Later after dinner, Mom excused herself to use the bathroom. Her purse sat on the side table, partially open. I'm not proud of what I did next, but something felt wrong, and my kids' disappointment was weighing on me. I glanced inside and saw a folded receipt. The itemized list made my blood run cold. Expensive toys, electronics, clothing, all dated just 3 days ago. At the top of the receipt, gift for Caleb, Emma, Jacob, my sister Rachel's children. Find what you're looking for? Mom stood in the doorway, her voice ice cold. You said you couldn't afford gifts for my kids this year, I said, holding up the receipt. What are these? Going through my personal belongings now? Her eyes narrowed. Those are necessary expenses. Necessary for Rachel's kids, but not mine? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. You always were so dramatic, Byron. She snatched the receipt from my hand. Some families just appreciate what they're given more than others. As she walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from my brother David. Did Mom give the kids their presents yet? She showed me what she got them. Nothing compared to what Rachel's kids are getting, but still nice. I stared at the message, realization dawning. There were never any financial difficulties, just different standards for different grandchildren. She actually told David she bought presents for our kids? Vanessa paced our bedroom that night after the kids were asleep. While telling us she couldn't afford anything? Apparently. I ran my hands through my hair. And from what I saw in that receipt, she spent at least $500 on Rachel's kids. This isn't about money, Byron, Vanessa sat beside me. It's about the lie, and what it says about how she values our children compared to your siblings. I know. I stared at the ceiling. I keep thinking about all the times growing up when Rachel got special treatment. I convinced myself it was in my head. It wasn't in your head, Vanessa squeezed my hand. We both saw how she fawned over Rachel at our wedding while barely acknowledging you. What do we do now? Confront her? Pretend it never happened? Vanessa's eyes hardened. We protect our children, whatever that takes. The next morning, I called my younger brother David while Vanessa took the kids to the park. Hey, what's this about Mom not giving your kids presents? David asked immediately. I thought she was bringing them over yesterday. She told us she couldn't afford gifts this year, I explained, but I saw a receipt for expensive presents for Rachel's kids. A long pause. That doesn't make sense. She specifically showed me what she bought for Lily and Mason. Nothing extravagant, but definitely presents. Wait, she actually showed you gifts for my kids? My grip tightened on the phone. Yeah, some art supplies for Lily and a dinosaur set for Mason. Said she was keeping it simple this year. David, she brought nothing. Told us directly she couldn't afford anything. Another pause. That's messed up, man, but it fits a pattern, doesn't it? Remember how she always made excuses about missing your school events but never missed Rachel's? Or how she paid for Rachel's college but told me I needed to learn independence through student loans? I added bitterly. Exactly. Remember your high school graduation? She left early because Rachel had a dance recital the same day. I'd forgotten about that, I admitted. I guess I've been making excuses for her my whole life. We talked for another 20 minutes, unearthing childhood memories I'd suppressed, consistent favoritism toward my sister and now, her children. Next, I called my cousin Grace, who had been at Rachel's house for their family Christmas celebration the day before. Byron, how are the kids? Grace's cheerful voice came through the speaker. They're good. Listen, I'm calling about something specific. Were you at Rachel's yesterday when Mom gave the kids their presents? Oh my God, yes. Aunt Linda went all out this year. Those kids were swimming in presents. The new gaming systems were just the beginning. My stomach tightened. Did she say anything about my kids? Grace hesitated. She mentioned something about focusing on the kids who appreciate her gifts. Rachel laughed and said something about your kids not writing thank you notes last year. I thought it was weird. That's not true. My kids definitely sent thank you cards. I figured as much. Rachel always enables your mom's quirks. Always has. After speaking with Grace, I called Rachel directly. She picked up on the fourth ring. This better be important, Byron. We're still recovering from yesterday's celebrations. Did Mom tell you she wasn't giving my kids presents this year? Rachel scoffed. Is that what she told you? Poor Byron, always feeling slighted. She told us she couldn't afford gifts for our kids, Rachel. Maybe she spent her budget on kids who actually appreciate her. Your kids didn't even send thank you cards last year. They're 8 and 6, Rachel, and they absolutely did send cards. I watched them make them. Whatever. Mom can spend her money however she wants. Her voice turned smug. Maybe if you'd been more successful. This isn't about money, I interrupted. It's about lying and treating my children like they matter less. You're being dramatic as usual, Rachel said, echoing Mom's words from the night before. After hanging up, I sat in silence until Vanessa returned with the kids. That evening, we formulated a plan. This wasn't just about Christmas presents. It was about a lifetime of manipulation and favoritism that was now hurting our children. No more enabling, Vanessa said firmly. It's time for consequences. 3 days after Christmas, I asked my mother to meet me at a local cafe. I arrived early, securing a corner table where we could talk privately. David had agreed to join us for support and as a witness to what would likely be a difficult conversation. Mom breezed in 15 minutes late, looking annoyed when she spotted David. I thought this was just between us, she said, sliding into the booth. What's this about, Byron? We need to talk about what happened at Christmas, I began, keeping my voice steady. And about the lie you told us. What lie? I told you we couldn't afford presents this year. She waved dismissively. I don't see why that requires a formal meeting. David leaned forward. Mom, I saw the presents you bought for Rachel's kids, and you showed me the ones you said were for Byron's children. You're ganging up on me now? Her voice rose indignantly. After everything I've done for this family? This isn't about ganging up, I said. It's about honesty. You told us you couldn't afford gifts, but spent hundreds on Rachel's kids. You even bought gifts for my children, but gave them to someone else or kept them. That's ridiculous. Where are they, Mom? I pressed. The art supplies for Lily, Mason's dinosaur set? David saw them. What happened to those gifts? She faltered momentarily. I decided they weren't good enough. I was going to get something better. But you told us you couldn't afford anything, David pointed out. Which is it? Stop interrogating me. This is absurd. She glanced around the cafe as if looking for allies. I placed printouts of text messages from David and Grace on the table. We have witnesses, Mom, multiple people who saw the presents, who heard what you said. Her expression shifted from indignation to calculation. You're making such a fuss over a few Christmas presents? Grow up, Byron. This isn't just about Christmas, I continued. It's about a pattern. My entire life you've favored Rachel. Now you're extending that to our children. Well, maybe if your children showed proper gratitude. They sent thank you cards last year, I interrupted. I mailed them myself. I never received any cards. Her eyes narrowed. David shook his head. Mom, I was there when you opened them. You complained that the handwriting was messy. Caught in the lie, her strategy changed. Fine, maybe I did get cards. But Rachel's children are just better behaved. They deserve more. Better behaved? My voice shook with anger. You've seen my kids twice this entire year. How would you know how they behave? A grandmother knows these things, she sniffed. No, a caring grandmother would make an effort to know her grandchildren equally. I took a deep breath. We're setting boundaries, Mom. Either you treat all your grandchildren equally, or you won't be part of their lives. You would keep my grandchildren from me? Her voice turned pleading. Byron, I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding. I love Lily and Mason. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was deliberate deception. I made a mistake. Tears welled in her eyes. Can't you forgive your own mother? This isn't about forgiveness, I replied. It's about protecting my children from someone who would hurt them to play favorites. You ungrateful, she stood suddenly, her voice rising. After everything I've sacrificed, I should have known you'd turn out like your father, selfish and ungrateful. Several cafe patrons turned to stare as she continued. You'll regret this, Byron. I'll make sure everyone in the family knows how you've treated me. Don't come crying to me when you need something. As she stormed out, David placed a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. But we both knew this wasn't over. The fallout was swift. By evening, my phone was buzzing with messages from extended family members who'd heard Mom's version of events. Only David and my Aunt Meredith reached out to hear my side. I recorded the conversation, David confessed when he called that evening. I had a feeling Mom would twist things. I've already sent the audio to Aunt Meredith and Uncle Paul. You recorded it? I was surprised but grateful. After a lifetime of her gaslighting, I've learned to come prepared. He paused. Rachel's on the warpath, though. Says you're trying to turn the family against Mom. Let me guess, she hasn't even heard the recording? I sighed. Won't listen to it. Says it's obviously edited without even hearing it. David's frustration was evident. Classic Rachel. Thanks for having my back, David. Always, bro. Someone had to break the cycle. Over the next few weeks, family lines were clearly drawn. Those who listened to the recording understood. Others chose to believe Mom's narrative that I was being petty over Christmas presents. One evening, Vanessa and I sat down with the kids. Am I in trouble? Mason asked, wide-eyed. No, sweetie. I pulled him onto my lap. We need to talk about Grandma. Is she sick? Lily's forehead creased with worry. Vanessa took her hand. No, honey, but we've decided that we need some time away from Grandma. Because she didn't bring us presents? Mason asked. No, I said firmly. Because Grandma wasn't honest, and that's not okay. Lily's eyes filled with tears. But when will we see her again? I don't know, sweetheart, I answered honestly. That depends on Grandma. Is she mad at us? Mason's lower lip trembled. Absolutely not. Vanessa pulled him close. This is grown-up stuff, not about you at all. You did nothing wrong. Sometimes, I explained carefully, even adults we love can make choices that hurt others. When that happens, we need to take a step back until they learn to make better choices. We explained in age-appropriate terms that sometimes adults make choices that aren't fair, and that it's okay to take a break from people who don't treat us well, even family. A month later, Mom showed up unannounced at our door with bags of toys. I've come to make amends, she announced, pushing past me into the entryway. Where are my grandchildren? They're not here. And you can't just show up like this, I said, blocking her path further into the house. I brought presents, she gestured to the bags. See, I do care about them. This isn't about presents, Mom. It's about respect and honesty. I'm trying to apologize, Byron. What more do you want? I want you to understand what you did wrong, not just try to buy your way back in. She set the bags down. Fine, I'm sorry I said I couldn't afford presents. There, happy now? That's not a real apology. You're not acknowledging the pattern of favoritism or the lies you told afterward. You're impossible, she threw her hands up. I'm trying to fix this. There's nothing to fix, I said quietly. We're done. Her face hardened. You can't keep my grandchildren from me. I have rights. You have the right to treat them with the same care and respect you show Rachel's kids. Until then, we need space. This isn't over, she threatened, backing toward the door. Rachel agrees with me. You're being ridiculous. The family won't stand for this. The family who matters already has, I replied, thinking of David and Aunt Meredith. 2 weeks later, at David's suggestion, we attended family therapy. Just him, me, and Aunt Meredith, who had always seen through Mom's manipulations. How are you holding up? Meredith asked after our session. Better than expected, I admitted. The kids ask about her sometimes, but they're adjusting. You know, Meredith said thoughtfully, I watched your mother do the same thing to your father years ago, comparing, criticizing, playing favorites with his family. No one stood up to her then. I didn't know that, I said, surprised. Your father tried in his way, she sighed, but he never drew a firm line. That's why what you're doing matters, Byron. You're breaking a pattern decades in the making. You did the right thing, Byron, she added. Some people never change because they never face consequences. 6 months later, I ran into Mom at the grocery store. She looked smaller somehow, less imposing. Byron, she nodded stiffly. How are the children? They're well, I replied. Lily won her school art contest. Mason joined T-ball. I'd like to see them sometime, she said, a hint of the old manipulation in her voice. Families should be together. Families should be honest and respectful, I countered. When you're ready to be that kind of grandmother, equally to all your grandchildren, we can discuss it. I am trying, Byron. Her voice softened. Please. I miss them. Trying isn't enough, Mom. Real change is what matters. You always were the stubborn one, she muttered, the familiar passive-aggressive tone returning. Just like your father. Maybe that's not the insult you think it is, I replied calmly. As I walked away, Vanessa texted, How'd it go? I typed back, She hasn't changed, but I have. That evening, as I helped Lily with her latest art project, a family portrait that notably excluded her grandmother, I realized something important. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give our children isn't protection from all pain, but showing them that they deserve to be valued, respected, and loved equally. Dad? Lily looked up from her drawing. Is Grandma ever going to visit again? I don't know, sweetheart. That depends on her choices. I think I'm okay if she doesn't, she said thoughtfully. She always made Mason cry. Out of the mouths of babes comes wisdom. Children see more than we give them credit for. They feel the subtle wounds of inequality and favoritism, even when they can't name them. And that's a lesson worth fighting for, isn't it? Have you ever had to set boundaries with family to protect those you love most?